Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm the Mechanic Gone Rogue and today I'm back into batteries. This video is going to be a little different from my previous two videos. Today I'm going to be focusing on an experimental solvent that has been proposed for use as an electrolyte in aluminum air batteries. It's called the Eutectic Solvent. I'll be talking a little bit about them, how to make them, and my experience with them, which turned out to be different than what I expected. Like with aluminum air batteries, there doesn't seem to be a lot of information readily available on these, so hopefully this video will contribute in a meaningful way. As I've said before, take these videos with a grain of salt. I'm a mechanic, not a chemist. I'm coming at this from a hobbyist perspective, and I'm learning along the way as well. I have certainly appreciated many of the comments on my previous videos that have pointed out some of the mistakes that I've made or have contributed something that I didn't know previously. So keep those comments coming, my friends. Also, I think that this goes without saying, but don't try any of this yourself unless you are a trained professional. So what is a Eutectic solvent? Or more easily said, D.E.S. To put it simply, they are a class of ionic solvents that incorporate one or more compounds into a eutectic mixture that has a melting point lower than the individual compounds. Currently, there are 4 different types of D.E.S. Type 1 is made by combining a quaternary ammonium salt and a metal chloride. Type 2 is made from a quaternary ammonium salt and a metal chloride hydrate. Type 3 also uses a quaternary ammonium salt, except it's combined with a hydrogen bond donor. And finally, Type 4 uses a metal chloride hydrate combined with a hydrogen bond donor. As you can imagine, there's room for lots of different combinations here. I'm going to focus on 2. Type 3 D.E.S. simply because they're the ones that I can find the most information on. For the quaternary ammonium salt, in both of them I'm going to be using choline chloride, and for the hydrogen bond donors I'm going to be using urea and ethylene glycol. Before I can make the Eutectic solvent, there's another problem that I have to address first. Turns out getting choline chloride is a lot harder than I expected, despite it being a relatively common additive in animal feed. Maybe it's because I'm based in Canada, but for the life of me, I could not find a place to buy this stuff without paying way too much money for it. In the end, I found a way to make it online out of materials that I could purchase relatively cheaply off of Amazon. I'm going to cover this process first before continuing. The 2 chemicals I started off with is choline bitartrate and potassium chloride. Choline bitartrate is sold as a health food supplement, and potassium chloride is better known as an ingredient in table salt substitutes. Using a ratio of 1:1 mole, I measured out individual quantities of both chemicals and dissolved them separately in water. I noted the solution of water and potassium chloride was cloudy even after the potassium chloride was fully dissolved. This seems normal and didn't cause any issues for me in the reaction. Next, I combined both solutions and stirred them together. Almost immediately, white precipitate began to form. This is potassium bitartrate, also known as cream of tartar. I kept on stirring until it seems like no more precipitate was forming, and then I let the mixture settle. My next step is to filter the remaining liquid from the solid potassium bitartrate. I just used some coffee filters for this step. Now this is where I modified the process a bit. The filtered solution I have is a mixture of water, choline chloride, and some potassium bitartrate, which is soluble with water to a point. To further remove the potassium bitartrate, I could place the solution into a freezer overnight. The potassium bitartrate will freeze and become solid, but the rest of the solution will not. Then I would decant the remaining solution, which is now exclusively water and choline chloride. After some experimentation, I found this step wasn't necessary for my purposes, so I opted to skip it because of the extra time involved. This leaves one final step, and that is to remove the water. I did this simply by boiling it off. Again, this was a modification I made to save some time. Choline chloride starts to decompose at temperatures over 150 degrees Celsius. An alternative that is more precise is to reduce the solution until it's highly concentrated, and then finish it off in an oven where the heat setting is more precise. So here's my finished choline chloride. As you can see, it's still crystallized to the bottom of the pot. I could scrape this up to store it or mix it separately, but to save on time, I'm going to add my hydrogen bond donor directly to the pot. I was able to source some cheap pure urea crystals on Amazon, and because I'm on a budget, my source of ethylene glycol is some automotive coolant I had in my garage. I'm going to mix up both of my D.E.S solutions at a ratio of 2 moles of hydrogen bond donor to 1 mole of choline chloride. The urea required a little bit of heating and stirring to begin mixing. There was no issues with mixing the ethylene glycol. I also should mention care should be taken when handling ethylene glycol, as it can be deathly toxic when ingested. Now comes the fun part, testing my new electrolytes. This is also where I got an interesting surprise, but I'll let you see it for yourself. Let's whip up some test cells. Because these are for testing only, I kept these very simple. I've got aluminum foil, paper towel, and activated charcoal, and I used the same assembly method as shown in my last battery video. The aluminum foil and paper towel are stacked together with a mixture of the electrolyte and activated charcoal applied on top. Because this is a test cell, I didn't use any of the copper strips that I normally would use to connect the cells. Also, for testing amperage to get a more realistic reading, instead of shorting the battery with the multimeter leads, I have a variable resistor here that will serve as my load. This is a control knob that I got from an HVAC control panel out of a car. It ranges from 1000 to 8000 ohms of resistance, which should be plenty for what I need. So I have 3 test cells here, one for each of my new electrolytes and a third with a regular saltwater electrolyte as a control. Let's check the voltage first. As you can see, all 3 cells have similar readings, with the weakest reading being the urea Eutectic solvent. But when I check amperage, there is a very distinct difference. The urea-based D.E.S falls flat on its face and doesn't produce anything. But the ethylene glycol performs almost as good as the salt water. This is pretty exciting, but before I could continue, I got busy with work and I had to shelve the project for a while. Fast forward a couple months, on a completely unrelated note, I finally got the graphite sheet I said that I had ordered in my previous video. Used with salt water, it improves the cell voltage and dramatically increases the amperage output. Then I noticed something interesting. The battery didn't need oxygen to function. On a hunch, I switched out the salt water for my Eutectic Solvents, which I still had lying around. It worked too. Well, the ethylene glycol based solvent did. The urea still sucks. Say what now? But I thought this was an aluminum air battery. If that's not the case, then what have I created? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a mechanic, not a chemist. So, truth be told, I don't actually know for sure, but I have a theory. I suspect with the use of this graphite sheet, the battery is operating similarly to a modern-day lithium-ion battery. The electrolyte is oxidizing the aluminum, and then the aluminum ions are being transferred to the graphite. This would be pretty cool. But as with aluminum air batteries, aluminum ion batteries are still fairly theoretical, and there's not a lot of information readily available for them. Regardless, the results are still quite exciting. If you have something you could add to this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So, in summary, I've covered what deep eutectic solvents are, how to make some of them, and my experience working with them. Then we learned that an ethylene glycol-based deep eutectic solvent works as an electrolyte in an aluminum air battery using charcoal, but for some reason also works with graphite sheet and does not need oxygen to function. This leads me to believe that instead of an aluminum air battery, I've created an aluminum ion battery. Right now, I don't know its capacity or if it's rechargeable, although it should be rechargeable in theory. Hopefully that's something I can look into in a future video. In the meantime, keep those amazing comments coming. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. You can also support my channel by buying me a coffee through the link in the description. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.